Hi Joel, welcome to Fonix's offices today. For those of the people who don't know, you work at Global, which has some of the biggest radio stations in the UK, including the likes of Heart, Capital. We've worked together for over 5-6 years, running a variety of things for you. I'd love you to sort of just introduce yourself and what you do within Global.
Yeah, so like I said, I'm Joel. I work at Global, which is the biggest radio company in Europe. We also have outdoor advertising business. And my role is Director of Enterprise, which means I look after all of our direct-to-consumer relationships. So that includes our brand extensions, our white label products, our publishing business, and also our interactive services. So all the great competitions you hear, like Make Me a Millionaire on Heart and Capital Give Me the Cash, and Radio X's 20 Seconds to 20k, all comes under me, yeah.
Fantastic. So obviously what Fonix does for Global is we provide the interactive software, the SMS technology, so that brands, consumers, audiences can engage with the radio stations across, whether it's text to studio through to entering competitions through to donating to the Make Some Noise, the charity. Can you sort of talk a bit about that and over the years how that's changed within the organisation across the brands you work with?
Yeah, so I've been at Global about 10 years, and when I started we were still kind of doing call into the studio for some of our stuff. We've moved that now over really to text and SMS. We've tried other things, so we've tried using voice shortcodes, we've tried a bit of RCS, we've tried IVR, but ultimately text always seems to prevail and be the channel of communication that our listeners want to engage with us with.
And can you talk about sort of some of the key formats that I'm sure a lot of people will know, but it'd be great to sort of understand some of the biggest and best comps you've ever run, I suppose.
Yeah, so I mean, I mentioned a couple of them earlier. So Heart to Make Me a Millionaire, we've run it 3 years on the trot. It's huge, it's mega, runs for a period of weeks, it's promoted on our out-of-home inventory and culminates with the final with a number of finalists opening boxes where one person wins £1 million. And that's something that we worked on, we developed. I think we were the first radio station in the UK to give away £1 million since Chris Evans did it on Virgin Radio 20 years ago. Yeah, so we're constantly looking at how we can do things differently and give our consumers the best entertainment possible.
So Joel, when considering running interactive competitions, what are your key criteria for success?
Yeah, so I think a Global, right from the top down, from the owner of the business, down to those of us on the ground who are producing the campaigns. It's all about weaving it into our content. So we don't have competitions that sit alongside content. It's all one and the same. It's completely intermeshed, and I think that's where we've been successful in driving content first campaigns that engage audiences to interact with us. That stands out, audio from an audio perspective, and from an engagement perspective, and I think bringing the winners to air, having those reactions, the mechanic that ties in with the music or whatever it is, are all things that we, specifically design to do that.
I see that myself, driving on the motorway or with the billboards. You can see, the competitions being promoted, like the Millionaire comp on the billboards, and it immerses itself within the brand, and that's obviously a very important strategy for you guys.
Yeah, we have, like I said, we have a complete 360 that everything hinges around, basically making great radio and great entertainment.
So Joe, obviously, I can imagine that you engage with millions of consumers a year across all the different channels you have, and in SMS particular, it's sort of the go-to way to text the studio, interact with competitions, or certainly has been over the last few years. Building CRMs, databases, understanding your consumers, wanting potentially to engage with them becomes a part of every organisation where you can talk back to your audiences. Can you talk a bit about that, and what considerations you have, and the way you may go about doing that?
Yeah, I think ultimately, we're increasingly seeing consumers coming into us from many different channels. Not just from the radio. We've got websites, we've got apps, we've got text clubs, email, marketing, and all that kind of thing. And ultimately, I think we are spending a lot of time and effort to engage with our consumers in the way that they want to engage with us, rather than forcing them down a specific path. I think that's really important. I think we launched our online entry portal about a year ago, and we've had great success and see increasing amounts of consumers coming in through there. To drive them back to a different channel is kind of a bit foolhardy. So we try and take on board kind of what our listeners or our consumers are telling us, either directly or in a roundabout way, and take that into our considerations into how we engage them and how we strategize and future-proof.
And that online portal is something that's relatively new to the business. You've been a huge user of SMS over the last few years. I know you evolved that from Weisz, and is this sort of your baby steps? It could be more the baby steps into sort of ensuring that you go further afield.
Yeah, I think SMS has been a great common denominator for a number of years, and it still is. But like I said, people are increasingly moving into different channels, and as a business, we are constantly looking at how we innovate, how we change things up, and how we give people the chance to engage with us in the way that they want to. And even though you may shift 20 or 30% away from your core channel into 5 different channels that are all much smaller, it's worth doing it, it's worth having it, and we're constantly on the cusp of future technology. Like I said, we've tried voice shortcodes, we've tried RCS, we've been quite successful with carrier billing and other payment methods now. I think it's important that we give people what they want, when they want it, and how they want it.
And I can imagine that's something you keep a close eye on. SMS has been fab to date. However, every 5 minutes there seems to be a new engagement technology, a new social media platform, or something we can do. The plan is to just continue to keep a very close eye on that and see where your audiences are engaging?
Yeah, absolutely. And new technologies come and many go, as quickly as they've come. We're constantly keeping an eye on what's going on and trying things where we think it's worth trying. And if it works, great. And if our audience is saying we're spending all our time over here, then absolutely that's where we want to be, offering them a chance to engage with us there.
You're running these big campaigns. What are some of the key technical considerations you make, both operationally and actually from the pure tech, when they're about to happen?
Yeah, I think you're only as good as the systems that you use, considerations from is the winner picker that we're using random, or is it not? Is it working properly? So to make sure that we're doing what we say within our terms and conditions. Are we able to process the amount of entries that we're expecting? Ofcom and the Phone Paid Services Authority are really clear that you need to be able to technically handle what you're doing. So if we're expecting X entries and we can only handle Y, we're in trouble. And so having the technology in place that enables us to run the campaigns frictionlessly, but also report on them in a quick and easy way is invaluable.
So Joel, thanks so much for coming in. It's been a real pleasure to listen to some of the fascinating insights you give. We all hear some of the great radio that goes on. I don't think you often understand perhaps sometimes the sort of rigor, operational sweats that go on behind the scenes, and the sheer considerations to how from a top-down perspective the campaigns are carefully considered within the organisation. So really appreciate the insight, and thank you very much.
Welcome.